We'll start then. Hello everyone. Today we are going to see next module, that is module number 2, which is nothing but the GSM, or Global System for Mobile Communication, which is a full form for it. So we are going to start with the second module. So the name of this particular module is Mobile Communication and its system and its generation. So in this particular module, we are going to see the generations of mobile communication. The second generation we are going to see 2.5G and 3G. Total 3 different generations we are going to see. So we are going to start with the second generation. So in this particular generation, or in today's session, basically, we will see the introduction to the second generation, which is called as a GSM, and services offered in this GSM or in this second generation. Okay, so let's begin with the GSM. GSM, which is previously known as a group of special mobile, that is founded in 1982. So now it is revised to the name, that is Global System for Mobile Communication. Okay, basically in 1992 this renaming process was completed. Okay, now it is known as a Global System for Mobile Communication. Okay, so as I said, this is the second generation of mobile communication system. So which was the first one? So the first generation system were analog mobile communication systems. Okay, analog mobile communication system means they they uh, they they use analog signals for communications. Now from this second generation, digital mobile communication system started. So GSM basically uses digital signal for communication rather than analog. Okay. So GSM is now most widely used and most successful mobile communication system in the world. Okay. So today, all over the world, more than 219 countries in several continents are using the GSM services. Okay. Also, more than 4.2 billion subscribers in more than 700 networks are currently availing the services from GSM. Okay. Here it is written, it is 4 billion, but it is round up, it is continuously increasing. So approximately 4.2, 4.3 billion subscribers are using over 700 and more than 700 networks. Okay. So if you compare GSM with the other standards which are available, so more than 75% of digital, that is mobile phones, are using GSM network. So GSM is most popular and most widely used digital mobile communication system in today's era. Okay, so we are currently using fourth generation. Now almost we are taking a step into the fifth generation of mobile communication in India. So this is the second generation. So you can see how we are changed over the years for this particular second generation that we are going to see. Okay, so let's look at what are the advantages, or what we can say the performance characteristics of GSM. Here we are checking it with respect to the previous generation, that is the analog systems. Okay, so talking in terms of communications, as we all know, so this is a wireless type of communication. So apart from being wireless, it also provides the mobility to the user to roam anywhere around the city, so while communicating with other party. So not only that, it also support voice communication, but it can support data communication too. So that was absent in previous analog systems. Okay, so now as I said, you can roam around anywhere. It provides total mobility while communicating. Now here the total mobility means your mobile mobility is not restricted to a particular area. You can take your portable device anywhere, anytime, and use different services that are provide to you for making up a communication or for making up a call or any other service. So even you can move out of your country and still you will be able to get the communication. So that was the primary goal while developing the GSM system. Okay, to enable the user to roam around the world and still able to communicate using a single number. So that was the primary goal of GSM. So because of this, it provides the worldwide connectivity. Okay, so same identification number, or we can say we generally call it as a mobile number. Okay, or in other terms we can say by using same sim we can use for making up the communication. Okay, so locating that particular user and making the communication possible is the responsibility of the infrastructure or the network infrastructure which is provided. So although the name is mobile communication, it is not completely wireless, that we must understand. Okay, the communication from the user till the tower. Okay, in technical terms we can call it as a base station. So communication from user to the base station is wireless here, so that user can roam around anywhere. But since from the base station entire communication will be wired one. Okay, so you need a fixed infrastructure to provide mobile communication system, that is GSM. So worldwide connectivity is possible because of different such infrastructure present all over the world and accepted worldwide using the single number. Okay, so if you compare the capacity of the GSM with the previous generations, so that is analog systems, so it has the better frequency and reuse efficiency which was provided. So it has a smaller cell size and more customers it can accommodate. So meaning is more number of frequencies are available for users for communication because of better reuse of frequency available in the system. Okay, so as cell are smaller, the strength of the signal which is received by the user is much better as compared to the analog system also. So that we must understand, because the strength of signal is directly proportional to 1 upon distance. Okay, so that is better to have the smaller cell, and that's why GSM prefers smaller cell structures. So as we know, that we have seen, or we will see in this particular upcoming lecture also, we have seen in the last lecture that smaller cell and how the smaller cell are preferred. Okay, and how the channel capacity is achieved in the GSM as compared to the analog system. Okay, that provides the better bandwidth to the user for communication. Okay, since this is a digital kind of communication system or mobile communication system, the audio quality and the communication quality in this particular system is quite high, or we can say very high, as compared to the analog system. Whereas phone calls at higher speed can be possibly made, or because of uninterrupted services that are provided in the GSM, we can easily make a call. So not only that, there is a major challenge while providing wireless communication is securing the particular communication, that is nothing but the security provided to the communication. So GSM also uh, has also provided authentication and the encryption or access control and several other security parameters for making the communication secure. Okay, so it is complete package for providing mobile communication system. So that is what the different advantages of this kind of particular system. But as we know, the no system is completely foolproof. So GSM also has certain limitations or disadvantages too. So we will see the disadvantages of GSM. Okay, you can see the first disadvantage is being end-to-end encryption of user data. Okay, We'll see one by one. Here it is written. You can see the whatever I am saying. It is written on the. It is mentioned in the slide also. So first is end-to-end encryption of user data, which is absent in GSM. Now here, what do you mean by end-to-end encryption? So here we must know that, or we most of us knows that, uh, or we know that how the WhatsApp chatting is working. So there you will see a message that you chat with the particular message is end-to-end encrypted. Okay, and here end-to-end means from one user to another user end, the data will be encrypted. So why it is not provided in the case of GSM? So that is the older version of mobile communication system compared to the current version, and in that the data was encrypted from user to the base station, means the communication which is happening between user to the base station is encrypted, but at the server that is at the base station, that data was decrypted again and transfer over the fixed network, and again when it is reaches the destination base station, that is again encrypted and transferred over the destination user. So here you just see, from base station to user the data or voice will be encrypted, but behind the bus, this is the within the infrastructure, the data will not remain encrypted, where the data traveled after reaching to the base station. So whatever you are talking is safe through the air, but it is not safe, or it is not hidden from the servers. So servers can easily listen to your voice or easily read your data. So end-to-end encryption means what? When the data is encrypted at one sender and it will only be decrypted by the receiver, no one else. So it is called encryption and decryption, or fully end-to-end encryption, even though the servers cannot able to decrypt it, but such facility is not available in the case of GSM. Okay, the second limitation or disadvantages will be, here you can say, okay, it is not using the entire bandwidth of 64 kbps, which is available in the case of ISDN. So which will not be available for the user. And so ISDN, that is integral service digital network, which is a telephony network. So digital telephony network we can say, so which is a wired one. It has the bandwidth of max 64 kbps, but its entire bandwidth is not available for the user. Okay, so how fixed bandwidth or fixed telephony network is associated with GSM, that we will see during the architecture of GSM. Okay, so but that entire fixed network bandwidth is not completely available for the user. That is the second disadvantage. Then the third is a side effect of having this facility of using the GSM services while driving, or while traveling, or while driving the car by the driver. Okay, may lose the concentration, that may be lead to accidents. So that might be the possibility of having, or side effects of having highest or higher facilities that are provided. Okay, apart from that, another side effect will be the electromagnetic radiations that we know, and which are carrying these particular signals from one user to the base station, and towards from the again other side base station to the receiver. So this radiation can affect human health also. So too much exposure to the electromagnetic radiation, okay, can be injurious to human health. So it needs to be avoided, but it is not. Okay, so although it is restricted so that it will be, or it will damage or affect the human health to the minimum level. Okay, so still it is affecting the human bodies. We know what are the different problems that can occur due to this. So then the next disadvantage can be uh, abuse of private data possible. This is because of end-to-end encryption. So that, as I said, the data is not end-to-end encrypted, the abuse of private data is possible. So your message may be encrypted over the air, and that is during you and the base station, that is the tower, Okay, but at the server end data can be readable, so sending sensitive information like your accounting information or bank information or passwords or any other data, private data or other data, that can be very dangerous, because that can be enabled by the servers and maybe stolen by anyone if hacker tries to get that particular data. Okay, so abuse of private data is possible, and because of so many services offered by GSM infrastructure or GSM, that means that infrastructure is quietly complex as compared to the analog system. Okay, so these are some disadvantages. Apart from that, roaming profiles accessible, there are so many different advantages or different disadvantages are there. So these are the disadvantages of second generation digital mobile communication system. Okay, so right now we are studying GSM, that is a 2G system we are talking about. The disadvantages are related to 2G system. So now we'll see what different services that the particular um, GSM is offering, so that we will see. Okay, so GSM basically offers several different services or several different types of connectivity, we can say. That is voice connection, data connection, messaging services, calls, or any other. So we will see them one by one. Okay, so also it can offer combination of voice and data or combination of audio messages and other messages can also be sent. So this type of services are basically divided into three basic types or three basic domains, we can say, and that domains are categorized as bearer services, telematic or tele services, you can say, telematic or tele services, and third one is the supplementary services. Okay, so we'll see them one by one. Okay, so on your screen on this particular thing there is one diagram given. So this will, I'm talking about this particular diagram. Okay, so we'll see the basic components of GSM system here, how the basic component looks like. So where on the left hand side if you see, so here I can draw a sender. TX is a sender, so sender is basically a transmitter over here, and let's say at the right hand side I will draw the receiver. Okay, so basically a transmitter is a mobile user or GSM user. So it consists of MS. Here you can say it consists of MS, that is mobile station. So mobile station is composed of two main parts. Okay, one is the handset and another is a SIM or another is a SIM card. Okay, so these are called as a terminal equipment. Here you can see this is called as a terminal equipment. Okay, that is TE, and mobile terminal, that is known as MT. MS, the whole part is consist of these two things. Okay, so these are connected to each other via RNS interface. So what is this interface is? Okay, so this mobile handset is connected to the base station or to attach the base station, that is our tower, through a wireless user interface or wireless interface, which is known as a UM interface. So basically this connection is done through UM interface. Okay, what is that interface is, we will see in details of this, all these things we will see in the next lecture. So then this particular BJ base station basically here somewhere. Okay, this particular base station is connected to a fixed wired network Okay, so here somewhere base station is there where the interface is taken place. Okay, and that is connected through this wired network, which is a public telephony network called as public land mobile network, called as public land mobile network. So this GSM PLMN interface is providing that. Okay, so this this is basically interconnection of wireless communication system with the wired communication system. So it is connected to GSM PLMN interface. Then this particular transition from mobile to fixed telephony is carried through the transit network, okay, like public switching telephone network and ISDN. Okay, that means integral services digital network towards the destination. Okay, so that means when GSM say a GSM call is initiated by the user, while I am talking from left hand side to right hand side. Okay, so the first it is transferred over the base station. So call will first transferred over the base station. Okay, so call first handle from here to here base station, from base station to his GSM PLMN, from GSM PLMN to transit network. Okay, so GSM will be transferring that particular call to the destination via certain internal infrastructure. So if that destination, that is receiver, is suppose a landline phone, so this call initiated by a mobile user has to be transferred to the fixed wire telephone network. Okay, so and that is our transit network, PSTN and ISDN involved here. So this transit network can be analog, means like your public switch telephone network, or it can be the digital also, that is integral service digital line also, means ISDN line is also there. So that's why we had said previously it is not using or use entire bandwidth of 64 kbps of ISDN. Okay, so this is transition from mobile to a fixed network. Okay, that is a landline network. That transit network is present here. You can see that transit network is present here. Okay, and then we reach towards source to destination network. So after that we'll move to the from here to here, to which the receiver is attached to the destination network right now. So it is a local network to which the telephone, or it's called we can say telephone exchange here in the case if the end user is a landline, when he will get a call. Okay, so this is nothing but the telephone exchange, we can say here, source destination network. In the case of this is nothing but the telephone exchange. In the case of landline mobile, okay, so this is a telephone exchange where our landline phone is attached, and this is our receiver. We know our receiver is over here. Okay, so as we can see, there are two services which are shown over there. Okay, one is the bearer service. Okay, so total uh, I'm talking about the diagram here. Okay, one is the bearer service and the other one is the tele service. Okay, so bearer services are those services which are handled, or services that offer to the internal infrastructure like GSM transit network or source to destination network. Okay, or we can say the communication can be reversed also from landline to mobile phone, that can be possible. So in the both cases the same diagram is applicable, and tele services are also be there, so which offers the end user like mobile user or the landline user. So tele services are user available, and bearer services are infrastructure available. So let's see one by one how the bearer services and tele services and supplementary services works. Okay, so basically when we are talking about the bearer services, so starting with the bearer services, so these services provide transfer of data between different access points. Access point means here our base stations. Okay, if call is initiated from landline, data or voice transfer from suppose a local exchange to the end user, and user, if it is not, or if it is mobile, then in that case it will be the base station. So that say end user is mobile user and initiating user, that is calling user, is a landline one or landline user. Then the voice or data transfer between local exchange and the base station, that is a tower that offer receiver or the connection at the end of receiver. So the data transfer or voice transfer which is taken place is known as a bearer service. Okay, so this specification of these services is up to the terminal interface, that is uh, we can say, or we called it as a SIM card, that is a terminal interface, and it is working on OSI layer 1, 2 and 3. So that is a physical layer, then data link layer and the network layer. Okay, so as we know, physical layer is responsible for transmission of data into raw bit streams. It comes into the picture. Then data link layer is responsible for channel allocation and several other things, and network layer is for routing purpose or routing the call to a appropriate user. So these three layers will be using the bearer services. So bearer services permit transparent and non-transparent type of service. So that is, transparent means that is visible to everyone and also hidden to everyone. Both kind of services can be possible, and synchronous and asynchronous data transmission is also possible. Here the synchronous means it will require to communicate or transfer the data in specific time limit, or it can be asynchronous also, like it cannot have time limit, but it will have start and stop bit for transmission of voice or data. So transparent bearer services only use the functions of physical layer to transmit the data. So what things they are using? So they are using FEC for doing that, that is to improve the transmission quality, and this is a digital communication system, so it will have the better quality. So the technique which is known as FEC, which is nothing but the forward error correction, FEC, which using a redundant data for transmission to improve the quality. Okay, so suppose if you have a certain number of bits which is to be transmitted, means suppose if I have a bit, suppose I have a bit like this, and like this. So let's say this is the one bit that which is an important bit and you want to transfer it. So it will be transmitted not only once but at several times. So even if during the transmission or during the destination towards the user, if it gets corrupted or if it get lost, okay, so there are several other bits available from which the information can be retrieved or can be received. Okay, so it is avoiding the errors and improving the quality of the data. So the, so this is known as a EFC, that is, sorry, FEC, that is forward error correction. So even after that, if the information bit is lost, then it is not possible to recover that particular bit. Okay, so that is a drawback of this FEC. So transparent bearer services uses this kind of techniques for improving the transmission quality. So then there is non-transparent bearer services are also there. which uses the some protocols of layer 2 and layer 3 for improving the transmission quality. So there is non-transparent services which uses data link layer and network layer to implement error correction and flow control. So this is also for improving quality and communication, like radio link protocol RLP is used over there, which works on the mechanism of HDLC, that is a high level data link control. So it is used there, or sometimes selective reject mechanism is also used to trigger the transmission of error data, which is used at the layer 2 and layer 3 for improving the transmission quality or the data quality. So these are the bearer services. This all what we have seen is happening internal, so you will not able to see the user involvement in this particular services. So these are known as a bearer services. Then the next one is the data rates that we achieve for these particular services. So based on the synchronous or asynchronous data rates are available. So you can see both type of data rates are given over here, the synchronous data rate as well as asynchronous data rate. Okay, so the first, that is synchronous data rate, which is starting from 1.2 kbps, 2.4 kbps and reach up to 9.6 kbps, is possible for the synchronous data as a higher data rate, because overhead of synchronizing bits is much lesser as compared to the asynchronous. So because of this, there will be no header bit, there will be a trailer bit, the start bit or the stop bit which is involved. So for asynchronous, we get data rates up to 300 to 1200 bits per second, or kilobits, 1.2 kilobits per second. Okay, so 300 bits per second. For asynchronous, we get much higher, up to 9.6 kbps. Okay, so although in this particular stage it seems very small data rate, because we are currently using LTE and we are in fourth generation, we are just taking step to the fifth generation, where the data rates are supposed to be in some megabytes or multiple megabytes per seconds. And if you compare this with the this kind of data rates, then it seems to be very low data rate. This was considered at that time, it was a higher data rate, and data rate approximately goes max up to 50 kbps, which is also possible in this kind of thing, and which will be covered later after implementing certain modulation techniques. So initially 2G was only having this much data speed. Okay, so kbps only. So although right now if it seems very small, but at that time that was very high data rate. So this is about the bearer services. So now we just move to the next part, and that is teleservices. So when we talk about the teleservices, okay, so as I said, teleservices involves user communication, whereas bearer services is only regarding the infrastructure. So it enables voice communication via mobile phones. So that is our mobile handset and the SIM card. Okay. So provision of higher quality or higher quality digital voice transmission, that is offering a traditional bandwidth of some 3.1 kilohertz, which is the ISDN bandwidth. Okay. So although it is not entirely used, the user is available, and user is providing or provided with extra services apart from the normal conversation. Okay, so this is like a emergency number. Okay, for example, suppose common number in throughout Europe is 112, so you can dial this particular number So even when your keypad is locked, okay, so if you press 112 on your keyboard or keypad, sorry, not keyboard, so you will be able to call one emergency center or emergency center location. So it is mandatory for all the service provided to provide it for free of charge. So this is also the highest priority connection for voice communication which was provided. So it oversees most of the other connections. Okay. Also, that's why basically, so it is emergency number. So in the case of accidents or crisis or any crisis situation, you can dial this number and no charges will be applicable. Okay, so for that reason, this is a tele service that is provided by the GSM, so it was not present in the previous versions. Okay, so this, then there are non-voice services are also there, like fax group 3 fax. This is called as a group 3 fax. So their mailbox and uh, voice mailbox are also there. Okay, or voice mail जिसको हम कहते हैं, that we can use. So you are not able to receive a, if you are not in a position to receive a call, then you can ask for a caller to drop a message. Okay, or voice message onto the mailbox of voicemail. So that kind of service is also provided. Okay, so it is possible through tele services. Then SMS service is provided. Okay, so SMS, we know, 160 character short message that can be sent from a mobile number using the channel of mobile communication system. Okay, then EMS, that is enhanced messaging service, and MMS, which is combination of text message which is used in SMS, and the audio or video messages or small animation also can be included into it. So then it is possible in MMS. So MMS is the latest or largest version of the short message service. So in SMS we can send the text data. In MMS we can send several combinations. Okay, audio, text, video, and so on. So these services are also provided by the GSM. So this is about the tele service. Okay, so that are nothing but the tele services. So lastly, the which one was remaining, that is a third type or third category, which is nothing but the supplementary services. Okay, so when we talking about the supplementary services, so that are not mandatory but are provided by most of the service providers. So this offers more than just a calling, or you can say more than messaging or internet service. So what are those different supplementary services available? So this varies from different service provider, or the facility will be vary from different service provider, but most of them provide all of them. Okay, so like caller ID, so that is we can know who is calling, so that we get to know from our mobile screen. Then we can forward our call, then we can block our call. So call forwarding, call blocking is available. So it is also possible to have that particular service. We can forward our call from one SIM card to another SIM card. If our SIM card is not in the network area, then auto reply or auto call, auto reply or automatic callback service can be availed. So that is also supplementary service. Then call conferencing, that is also supplementary service. So up to 7 participants are possible in the simple audio call conferencing. So then suppose if we lose the data, then we can avoid stealing of our personal information by locking the mobile terminal. So if we find that the handset is stolen, then we can call the customer care and ask them to lock our terminal. So such kind of services is also provided by the GSM. So likely there are so many different services are there which are supplementary services. So we can term it as a basic services also. So these services are available with all the second generation GSM service provider. So right now we are talking about the 2G. Okay, so we have seen three different types of here, that is bearer, tele and supplementary services. So this is all about the GSM introduction. Okay, so in the next lecture we will see the architecture of GSM